Hello, MB-P Productions here, and today we're going to be talking about the My January roster for 2023. So, let's begin. So, every year there's a January roster, and this roster is kind of known as Camp Cupcake. This camp is basically known as Camp Cupcake. It is basically for MLS players who are not good enough for the national team. So, yeah, you practically got your summary over here, but obviously it can have its uses. You can use player. You can. I think there's the ability to use players that are from other leagues from in the American continent, like the Brazilian league, Liga MX, and the Argentinian league. So obviously there's gonna be like about three players from those leagues, one from each. So yeah, let's begin. So now let's start off with the goalkeepers. For me, the goalkeepers for this camp should be Chris Brady, Juan Santano, and Gabriel Sonina. Okay, so straight off the bat over here, we have the three goalkeepers that I think we should bring. Uh, the one that I think and that cannot make it, I think is might be Gabriel Sonina because he'll get a chance for the Chelsea. But I don't think he'll be a starter in Chelsea. Like I wish he can be a starter at Chelsea, but it's obviously not. Like Gabriel Sina is 18 years old and his only experience in goalkeeping is in MLS. So I don't think Gabriel Sina will be a starter at Chelsea. So obviously there if he does if if Gabriel Sina cannot make this camp, obviously I'll bring John Poolskamp in his place. So obviously, John Poolskamp has shown his quality before. So yeah, but I think the two main goalkeepers I think I'll start for this camp will be Gabriel Sina or Chris Brady, depending on how Gabriel Sina's situation is, and I'll be starting Roman Celentano for the other game. So obviously, Roman Celentano is 22 years old. He just had a pretty good season on MLS. Uh, he did show his quality for the FC Cincinnati, and I do think he can be a starter for us in the Gold Cup and in the Olympics as well. He is eligible for that as well. So I do think Roman Celentano does have the quality, and we all like to see that in this camp. So yeah. Now next let's go to the defenders. John Tolkien, Caleb Wiley, Matt Miazga, Josh Weiner, Brandon Craig, Justin Shane, Nathan Harriel, and Maritu Cuevas. Uh, one honorable mention here is Kenan Pierre, but obviously I'll rather bring Maritu Cuevas because he is the starting right back for the U20 national team. So John Tolkien, Caleb Wiley, Nathan Harriel, and Maritu Cuevas are going to be the fullbacks. John Tolkien, Caleb Wiley, they had some pretty good minutes in the MLS, especially John Tolkien, and John Tolkien looked good in those minutes. Caleb Wiley showed a lot of promise in those minutes as well. So I do believe Caleb Wiley's ceiling is higher. I do believe that. I do believe that he has a lot more potential than what John Tolkien does. Uh, John Tolkien, not going to take anything away from him, but I do think Caleb Wiley is a lot better than what he was at 17. And obviously, I do not know where Caleb Wiley will end up when he's 21. By the time it's 2026, but I can tell you this: he is gonna have a pretty good career, Caleb Wiley. Uh, Nathan Harriel, pretty good prospect from the Philadelphia Union. Uh, when he does get minutes, when he does get starts, he does show his quality over there. But obviously, he has not been getting a lot of minutes because the Philadelphia Union have this player from Cameroon. I don't remember, but still, I think Nathan Harriel, if he does get away and move away from Philadelphia Union, I do believe he'll be a starter. No questions asked. Uh, Maritza Cuevas, obviously he's in Club Brugge's academy right now, so and he's not really pushing for a starting spot at Club Brugge, so I do think Maritza Cuevas can make it to this camp. My four center backs will be Matt Miazga because he has a lot of experience at the European level, and obviously he can be a good role model for these three good young center backs. Josh Weiner, Brandon Craig, and Justin Che. Justin Che right now is at the Academy of Hoffenheim, so I do believe he can make this camp. Uh, Josh Weiner and Brandon Craig, obviously they are. I believe I believe they we should bring. They will be playing heavy minutes at the U20 World Cup, especially Josh Weiner. I do believe Josh Weiner does have a higher ceiling than Brandon Craig. Uh, so obviously over here we have a good amount of youth and experience for defenders. So now let's go to the midfielders. Frankie Maya, Daniel Edelman, Jack McGlynn, Aiden Morris, Johnny Cardoso, Cole Bassett, Nico Sakidis, Alan Stringura, Daniel Leva, and if we need replacements, I have Obed Vargas and Caden Clark. So Frankie Maya, obviously he did have a pretty good season on that MLS at the six. And especially since we need a backup at the six, we need to continue finding for that backup at the six. So Frankie Maya is going to be one of those options. Daniel Edelman can play the six, but I do believe right now Frankie Maya's game is a little bit more complete than Daniel Edelman. But still, I would like to give Daniel Edelman some minutes at the eight and maybe some at the six to continue preparing for him for the U20 World Cup. Jack McGlynn, another U20 World Cup midfielder. He did show a lot of promise with the Philadelphia Union. Those two mids did show lots of quality in the minutes they received for their clubs. Uh, both Daniel Edelman and Jack McGlynn, they did show their quality. Uh, Aiden Morris, another midfielder that can be our backup for the six. He used to be a very promising midfielder for when he was younger, but he got like some type of injury. Like I think it was like an ACL tear, and boom, that kind of left him out for a good amount of time. But this last season, he did show his quality again to us, so I do believe he can make he we should call him up to this camp. Johnny Cardoso, he's showing lots of promise right now at Internacional. He is right now a starter at Internacional, so I would like to see him getting those heavy minutes at the six for us at the January camp. Cole Bassett, he's returning from Colorado Rapids, from a very disappointing loan deal with Feyenoord and Fortuna Sittard. So obviously for me, I like to see Cole Bassett in this camp, to see how much he has grown. Because obviously we all know before that loan he did show lots of promise. He did show his quality at MLS. So obviously I like to see how much he has grown. Um, Nico Sakidis, very promising midfielder. He did get some minutes, and he did look very good in those minutes. And obviously, for me, I think he'll be getting a lot more starts with the San Jose Earthquakes this upcoming season. And I do believe he's San Jose Earthquakes' most promising player, even more promising than Cade Cowell. Uh, and next is Danny Leva. Danny Leva did show lots of promise with it in his minutes with the Seattle Sounders. He got a lot more minutes this season, so especially with all the injuries that Seattle Sounders got. So yeah, those are basically gonna be my midfielders. Now let's go to forwards. My forwards for this camp will be Sergio Goma, Brian Gutierrez, Brandon Vasquez, Cade Cowell, Alejandro Sendejas, and Matthew Hoppy. So Brian Gutierrez obviously did show lots of promise in this last season with the Chicago Fire. Sergio Goma, very promising player for the New York Red Bulls. He got an injury earlier in the season, but before that injury, he was balling out. Uh, Alejandro Sendejas, he's a very good player at America, and obviously he did show last season at America that he is a very good winger, and he can possibly be our backup for Timothy Weah in this team. Mexico kind of did him dirty. They kind of did. So obviously, if I were the U.S., I would go for him straight away. Matthew Hoppy from Middlesbrough. He's not a starter at Middlesbrough, and he's not even a bench player. He does not even feature on their bench. So I would like to bring him to this camp to see what is going on, and obviously to see if he's still not national team quality, and as well if to give him some confidence because Matthew Hoppen needs some confidence right now. He really does. And my two strikers obviously will be Brandon Vasquez and Cade Cowell. Brandon Vasquez because he had a really good season at FC Cincinnati, and Cade Cowell because obviously he will be our U20 World Cup striker for this for the U20 World Cup. So obviously that's a good. Those are two good explanations. And obviously some extras here are Owen Wolf, Malik Sanogo, and Quinn Sullivan. These three can be our other U20 World Cup players who can be good options for us. Other options as well include Christian Fletcher, obviously. Um, there are lots of attackers right now, attacking players right now for the U20 World Cup. So obviously there's going to be lots of players who can make a roster. So now let's talk about how I'll line up for these games. If we are still using Greg's system, which I don't think we should continue using it, but still, let's see. Gabriel should be in goal. He should get used to his U20 World Cup teammates, obviously, and obviously we should see how he does. Um, our center back pairing will be Justin Shea and Matt Miazga. I'd like to give Josh Finder some minutes because he has been very promising. I would like to see Justin Shea how he does against older opposition. We've seen what he can do against U20 opposition, but now let's see what he can do against older opposition. John Tolkien, Caleb Wiley will be getting a whole lot of minutes at left back, and I believe we'll start one of each in each game. Nathan Harriel and Marito Cuevas. I believe we should start Nathan Harriel for both games, but Marito Cuevas, I'll give him like 20-30 minutes in both games, like 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes in each of those games. So obviously, yeah. Um, I'll give my Johnny Cardoso lots of minutes at the six, but I'll give as well opportunities to Frankie Maya and Andy Morris to see how both of those are doing as well. Alan Senora and Cole Bassett will be at the 10. At the 8, we all like to see Daniel Edelman and Jack McGlynn. I'll start one of each in each game. And our front three will be Brian Gutierrez, with a backup option of Matthew Hoppe, Brandon Vasquez with a backup option of Kate Cowell, and I'll start Sendejas for both games because we all like to recruit Alejandro Sendejas, and we need to show to Alejandro Sendejas that he's going to be part of this project for 2026. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys in the next video. Adios.